Britain is no longer a reliable partner following Brexit, Angela Merkel blasts the UK and Donald Trump as she warns Europe must take destiny in our own hands. Britain and the United States are no longer reliable allies following Brexit and the election of Donald Trump, claimed German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Addressing the crowd in Munich, she expressed dissatisfaction over the G7 summit which ended yesterday. She claimed Germany would look to improve relations with France following the election of Emmanuel Macron. She said Europe must act in its own best interests following the divisive effects of Brexit and the Trump presidency. She said, "The times in which we could completely depend on others are on the way out. I've experienced that in the last few days. We Europeans truly have to take our fate into our own hands," she added. While Germany and Europe would strive to remain on good terms with America and Britain, we have to fight for our own destiny, Merkel went on. Special emphasis was needed on warm relations between Berlin and newly elected French President Emmanuel Macron, she said. The Chancellor had just returned from a G7 summit which wound up Saturday without a deal between the US and the other 6 major advanced nations on upholding the 2015 Paris Climate Accords. Merkel on Saturday labeled the result of the 6-against-1 discussion very difficult, not to say very unsatisfactory. Theresa May had left the summit in Taormina at the end of the first day on Friday in order to return to the UK to chair a meeting of the government's Cobra Emergency Committee on the Manchester bomb attack. Trump offered a more positive assessment on Twitter Sunday, writing, "Just returned from Europe. Trip was a great success for America. Hard work but big results." The US president had earlier tweeted that he would reveal whether or not the US would stick to the global emissions deal, which he pledged to jettison on the campaign trail, only next week. On a previous leg of his first trip abroad as president, Trump had repeated past criticism of NATO allies for failing to meet the defensive alliance's military spending commitment of 2% of GDP. Observers noted that he neglected to publicly endorse the pact's Article 5, which guarantees that member countries will aid the others they are attacked. The omission was especially striking as he unveiled a memorial to the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks against the US, the only time the Mutual Defense Clause has been triggered. Trump also reportedly described German trade practices as bad, very bad, in Brussels talks last week, complaining that Europe's largest economy sells too many cars to the US. Sunday's event saw Merkel renew bonds with the Christian Social Union, CSU, Bavarian sister party to her own center-right Christian Democratic Union, CDU, ahead of a parliamentary vote in September. Polls show the Chancellor, in power since 2005, on course to be re-elected for a 4th term.